Hello everyone, welcome to your choice for sports talk. I'm Benjamin Cure. This is the Benjamin Cure Show. We've got some legacy-defining questions and debates in the NBA. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Who was the bus driver? We're also talking about Jake Paul. He's in the most frustrated state he's ever been in throughout his professional boxing career right now. He's fed up with Tommy Fury, but guess who his hero might be? Dana White, because he might be giving Jake Paul his dream come true with the opportunity to fight Nate Diaz. You don't want to miss my thoughts on that. You don't want to miss what's going on behind the scenes, and you certainly want to listen in on my breakdown of what I think is next. We're also recapping the career of one of the greats, Rob Gronkowski, the GOAT tight end, and if I truly believe that it's the end of his amazing career. But first up, basketball. There was a time in my life where the term bus driver was very popular. The phrase was rampant. This was during my preschool days and my kindergarten days. When kids started learning about the basic jobs that there are in real life, and being a bus driver was considered one of the coolest jobs out there. Forget that it was always one of the best toys in daycare that you could find. It was cool, it was big, it was yellow, it was fun. It was also one of the coolest jobs. Hey, you can make money in real life by driving around this big, cool bus. You get to have your own big car. It was like the coolest concept to kids growing up. For me, those were the peak days of the term bus driver. And I really hadn't heard it again since then. Now, as an 18-year-old adult in college, this term is resurfacing. Bus drivers are making a huge comeback right now. But I'm not talking about literal bus drivers. Basketball fans, if you watched any of the TNT pregame show at any point during the NBA season, you probably already know where I'm going with this. Recently, Charles Barkley made a statement that Kevin Durant would never be shown his full respect for what he's accomplished until he became the bus driver on a championship team. Charles is saying that KD has to be the leader of a championship contending team or a winning one. He made these comments once again this week. Now, as NBA fans, we are just emerging from the end of the NBA season. The Warriors are once again reigning champs. Congratulations to them. Steph Curry has earned his first ever Finals MVP, and he just won his 4th championship. Why do I bring that up? I'm bringing this up because throughout the entire Warriors versus Celtics series, I heard the nonstop narrative that Steph had to prove he could win on his own. He had to prove he could win without KD. Don't act like you didn't hear it. People are acting like they haven't heard it. It was on every pregame show, every postgame show, every show in between, throughout the day, daily sports shows, your favorites. They were all talking about it. So, do you see where I'm going with this? A ton of people have said that Kevin Durant wasn't the bus driver when he was with the Golden State Warriors. A ton of people are saying that Stephen Curry wasn't the bus driver when he won 2 rings with Kevin Durant. To me, there's too many people saying both of those things, so damn it, which one was it? Was Stephen Curry the bus driver on the Warriors, or was it Kevin Durant? Unless it's some autonomous bus. Were the 2017-2018 Warriors championship rosters directed by a self-driven bus? Did a full self-driving Tesla bus come out of nowhere and I didn't hear about it? No? So then who was it? I guarantee that a lot of the same people that are saying that Kevin Durant wasn't the bus driver are also saying that Stephen Curry wasn't the bus driver. There's too many of them. Too many of them. Some of them have to overlap. My conclusion? They are haters. There's a ton of haters in basketball. I get it. I really do understand where they're coming from. There's people who don't like what Kevin Durant did when he left Oklahoma to go to a team that was 73-9. I get it. I hear you. There's people who don't think Stephen Curry was all that while Durant was on the Warriors. The most talented player debate constantly came up, before, during, and after. But come on. Are we seriously going to go after the legacies of both guys, question them, question both champions, question both players who have won Finals MVPs? I understand what those who are critical of Kevin Durant are trying to say. Those that criticize Durant feel that he should have developed the team. He should have built it. Young guys, mentored them. Or if he was going to go somewhere else, they'd rather it be a struggling, rebuilding franchise. They don't want it to be a massive, all-star caliber franchise. They didn't want that. Certainly not the Warriors, who were by far the most talented team in the NBA already. If you're one of those fans listening right now, I've got news for you. That was never going to happen. Never. Not in today's NBA, and not in the league that LeBron James changed forever. Not in the league where player empowerment has never been stronger. Was the Warriors' situation with the addition of KD not as competitive as we would have liked? Sure, maybe. A lot of people feel that way, but we've heard it a ton of times already. It's not the way the league operates now. I, quite frankly, am glad that we have player empowerment and that there's so many movements going on across sports. There's so many amazing players throughout history in all sports that never achieved the ultimate goal of winning a championship because they couldn't escape their situation. They were tied down. They couldn't leave their team. They didn't feel empowered to. We're lucky that it's different nowadays, and we should appreciate that. Sports are better for it. LeBron coming to Miami. He didn't consider it a super team, but that was a damn good roster. Football, Tom Brady. He didn't leave the Patriots for the Jets. He too is a born winner. He's the greatest competitor in sports. He wanted to go to a place where he could win. The Bucks. Baseball, Freddie Freeman. He's got a heart of gold. He's loved by everybody. I think he's one of those guys that doesn't have a lot of haters. We all appreciate him. He just won the World Series. But what's wrong with wanting to get paid and still be competitive enough to possibly win another World Series, or at least compete for one? He went to the Dodgers. I get it. And if we're being honest, sports are still just as fun to watch. We're going to tune in no matter what. You can't deny it. Even if you claim to not like it, you as a viewer are a beneficiary of what sports are today, of all this lateral movement throughout leagues. So let's cut out this bus driver talk. If you really want to settle the roles of Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant when they played together, go ahead. I'm not backing down from that debate either. I'm not ducking any debates. As a matter of fact, here's my take. I'd say Kevin Durant was the more talented player, but it was always Steph's team. Curry was the leader, and he still is. But please, let's stop this whole bus driver conversation. That was not a self-driving bus in 2017 and 2018. The Tesla Cybertruck doesn't come out until 2023, so it definitely was not that. Social media superstar turned boxer Jake Paul seems to be in a heated dispute right now with Tommy Fury. He's the half-brother of heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. Now, it's no secret that these two have history. The pair was supposed to settle their score in the ring in December of 2021, but things didn't go as planned. Tommy Fury ended up withdrawing from the contest because of an injury, and that birthed Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul 2. That fight wasn't entertaining throughout, but it did end in spectacular fashion, and it proved that Jake Paul definitely has what it takes to fight real fighters and emerge victorious nonetheless. After that bout in December, Jake Paul took a break from selling pay-per-views to promote other fighters on his own roster like Amanda Serrano and focus on his business endeavors. But make no mistake, Jake Paul did not take a break from boxing, even in the months where a fight hadn't been announced yet, and Jake Paul hadn't started officially training, and he hadn't started the official training camp. Videos could be found of him training in his own gym and preparing for that next big event. In the past month or so, he started sharing videos more often and posting hints about a fight in August. There was even a promo that said August 13th. The date has, of course, now been changed to August 6th. There was a lot of speculation about who his next opponent was, and the favorite was Tommy Fury. For fans, broadcasters, and even other fighters, the next logical step for Jake Paul seemed to be a guy like Tommy Fury, a young name in boxing, just like him, but still very popular, although he's just getting his feet wet. But Tommy also had important qualities that separated him from the rest of the competition. He did qualify as a professional boxer, which Jake knew was next. He is attached to one of the biggest names in boxing, in Tyson Fury. He too has a massive social media presence because of his girlfriend and reality television in the United Kingdom, and those fans from the United Kingdom who are so loyal to him and his brand. So he has those innate things that Jake likes. Jake hadn't officially commented on who his opponent was until just this week. We knew the fight was in August. We knew it would be in Madison Square Garden. But it seemed like Jake really wanted to keep the opponent a surprise until it was official, until contract had been signed. Which is why I think Jake has been pushed over the edge in the last 24, 48 hours. Jake Paul ripped into Tommy Fury just a couple hours ago for wavering in his commitment to the August 6th fight. He tore him apart for all social media to see. Never before in his boxing career has Jake Paul been this angry and frustrated. And this is rare as an athlete and as a boxer. please do keep this in mind. Paul's moment of anger and frustration didn't come in the ring. It didn't come in training. It didn't come because he couldn't find a way to win or game plan in a close fight. In my opinion, on the outside looking in, Jake feels like he's done everything that he needs to do to be successful in this next bout. He's got a big-time location secured. He's been training. He's ready. He knows he and his team are going to show up. He knows how to market this thing. He knows how much people are going to want to tune in. But unfortunately for him, even after all of this preparation, there's still things that Jake Paul can't control, and that bothers him. Jake Paul cannot control Tommy Fury. He cannot say with absolute certainty that Tommy Fury will step into the ring on August 6th in Madison Square Garden. And that frustrates him beyond belief. And understandably so. Tommy has already pulled out from a fight. He's already pulled the shenanigan once. He got free marketing from Showtime Boxing and Jake prior to what was supposed to be their first fight together in December. That's no joke. There's a lot of value just in that. He's gotten the clout of saying that he's going to be the one to end Jake Paul. He's garnered more attention for his own brand. He says he's going to be the guy to end Jake Paul, but he hasn't done it. Even though he's had the opportunity has been presented to him with millions of dollars attached. Tommy Fury refuses to step into the ring with Jake Paul. I will say, Tommy Fury has tremendous physical stature. He looks like he's committed to boxing. He has the look of a boxer. He's put in the time. But Tommy Fury has to be careful. Because the narrative is becoming that Tommy Fury is scared of Jake Paul. He's scared of losing. He's scared of that humiliation. He's scared of what that possibility will do to him, his career, and his brand. Don't get it twisted. I'm not the one that's inventing this. This narrative already exists and has been said by people with much larger platforms than my own. This is not good for the Fury family. Tommy Fury does not want to go through the humiliation again of pulling out of a quote-unquote easy fight against Jake Paul. He got ripped last time, even by his own friends and family. It is embarrassing. It's an insult to the Fury legacy and everything that his family represents in boxing, and there's no place for it right now. There's no place to be pulling out anymore. Make no mistake, this is a sport, but it's not a game. There are millions of dollars on the line. The clock is ticking, and Tommy Fury seems to be the sole reason why everything until this point has been delayed. Tommy Fury was, and maybe still is, in danger of letting a $2 million purse and a legacy fight for him at this stage in his career just slip through his fingers. Because also, in the last week, the most insane situation has played out and transpired. Ladies and gentlemen, officially or unofficially, Nate Diaz has never been closer to stepping into the ring with Jake Paul. Tommy Fury, I'm speaking to you now one-on-one if you ever listen to this. You seem like a nice guy. You seem like you're working hard. But I can't believe I have to be the one to tell you this if nobody has told you yet. If Jake Paul has to choose between Nate Diaz and you, Tommy Fury, as the opponent for his next fight, you're out of luck. He's picking Nate Diaz 10 out of 10 times, even prime Nate Diaz. As hated as Jake Paul is, the one thing you cannot criticize him for, and you can't say, is that he's afraid of competition. Jake Paul lives for the opportunity to be across from a guy like Nate Diaz in a pay-per-view fight that he's getting a cut of. With all that pressure, when the light shines the brightest, that's when Jake Paul becomes the best version of himself. That's very clear. I can't say the same for Tommy Fury. Jake doesn't care if it's a way tougher opponent or a bigger name or even more pressure. He wants that bigger name. I'd say Jake Paul would gain even more respect if he fought Nate Diaz because of his legendary status in combat sports. And here's the kicker. If Jake Paul beats Nate Diaz, if he knocks him out in front of thousands of people, in front of hundreds of thousands of pay-per-view fans, in front of millions who will tune in on social media, Jake Paul will be directly in line for a fight against Conor McGregor. Think of how insane that is. Jake Paul will find himself with just a 6-0 boxing record, impressive, but very early, and the opportunity to fight the biggest draw in combat sports in just his 7th professional fight. It doesn't seem like it's the case because Tommy hasn't pulled out. But here's the big part that came out this week that throws a wrench into everything. Dana White does not mince words. He's not accidentally saying things or messing up sound bites during interviews. So it shocked me when I saw that on camera, Dana White was talking about Nate Diaz, and he said, quote, You can watch this right now. He should probably go and fight Jake Paul. That's a fight that makes sense. I don't care how sarcastic that answer was supposed to be. Dana White is practically a couple steps away from encouraging the fight to take place and happen. We're talking about a guy who is under contract with the UFC and Nate Diaz. We're not talking about a former UFC fighter. We're not talking about somebody who's already left Dana. One of the UFC's biggest draws is still under contract, and Dana White is publicly entertaining the idea that Nate Diaz and Jake Paul is a fight to make, that it makes sense. That happens to be in the midst of Nate Diaz going on Twitter and posting a video of Jake Paul's knockout over Tyron Woodley, and him saying, UFC, release me now, please, or give me a fight with anyone in July or August, like, get it over with. I have bigger expletive to do, is what he said. A day later, right after that Dana White quote, probably after hearing it, Nate tweeted out, send the release now. He's ready to get out of there. Now, I believe cooler heads will prevail. At heart, Dana White is still a businessman. The people around him aren't going to let him just cut Nate Diaz because he's pissed off at him. They know they can squeeze just one more big pay-per-view out of the Nate Diaz camp at least. But if they do end up coming to terms with the UFC and the UFC hands Nate Diaz a fight, which he accepts, and Nate fights in July or August, Nate Diaz is a free man. Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul can happen. And I'll say this. You never want to assume something like this is happening because there are tampering rules, and I hate to assume without knowing the full picture. But come on. I do have an underlying feeling that after all those tweets and everything we've heard, Jake Paul or his team has been or will be in touch with Nate and his team. And if they are in cahoots, I think Nate Diaz's team says, look, Nate's fighting for the UFC in July or August. Nate wants to fight Jake in a boxing ring. We're not backing down. We want that deal. But we can't right now. It has to wait until October or November because he needs time to cool down and needs time to train. I think that kind of answer, or at least that correspondence, would be perfectly acceptable to Jake and his team. It keeps everyone involved in the know. Jake can tell Showtime Sports what's going on behind the scenes. He can tell Steven Espinoza. The promotion can start preparing a marketing game and plan for that fight. They have more time. They can iron out the plans, the dates, the big time venue they want. They have even more time than usual to prepare to promote it. They've got a heads up and a little bit of extra time to prepare for all of this. That's all they want. Deal is not the right word. But if they can come to some kind of spoken agreement behind the scenes, then I think everybody, from Jake to Nate to Showtime, is very happy. They know what they're getting into. They'll know what to expect. And if Tommy Fury pulls out before the August 6th fight, Jake Paul can cancel their fight altogether, and he'll never fight him. Jake will happily wait until September, October, or November for Nate. And although I'm not on the train of Jake Paul can't sell pay-per-views, this would strategically give Jake Paul an even better chance at earning big-time pay-per-view numbers. The longer you keep fans waiting, the more likely they are to rush back to see you in your next fight. Floyd Mayweather proved that. The greats had big gaps. So as a fan, as much as I appreciated Jake Paul's run in 2021, the 3 fights, waiting for the Nate Diaz fight in September, October, or November, if the teams can come to an agreement behind the scenes, is probably the best business decision for Jake Paul and Showtime. Will Tommy show up in the ring at Madison Square Garden? What's Dana White going to do with Nate? Those 2 questions will decide Jake Paul's trajectory as a boxer in 2022. Rob Gronkowski announced in an Instagram post that he was retiring from the NFL. I was a little bit saddened by the news just because I love Rob Gronkowski and I love what he brings to the table when he's on the field. He's so energetic. He's so powerful. No DB will ever outwill Rob Gronkowski. It's not going to happen. A lot of people learn that the hard way along Gronk's career. And I want to make this clear. I love Tony Gonzalez and Shannon Sharp. I never watched them, but I've seen the highlights. I understand and appreciate what guys like them represented for the NFL. I'm also a fan of younger guys that are still in the league like Travis Kelce and George Kittle. As amazing as they are, they still have room to grow. That's incredibly exciting as a fan. But Rob Gronkowski is the greatest tight end of all time. He is the GOAT at that position. The stats, the resume, the sheer dominance that he displayed when he was healthy and even when he wasn't, when he would push through injuries, there will never be another Gronk. Some will come close, maybe George Kittle because of his blocking, because of his ability to go downfield and make a big catch, a big play, and his sheer toughness also when he's injured. He could replicate certain aspects of Gronk's game, but we'll never see another Rob Gronkowski. Unless, of course, he decided to come back. You know, there is some truth behind every joke. Gronk jokes all the time about not liking training camp. And I do believe it. I believe it more than just being a joke. He wasn't doing the training regimen during COVID. We found out after the fact. There was that whole story that he pre-recorded push-ups like all on one day for training camp. And he sent them to the coaches on different days. He would change his t-shirts and outfits. The truth to that is that he doesn't like training camp. He doesn't like going through it. He doesn't like going through the meaningless games, weeks 1 through 8, 1 through 10. I will say, though, I don't think it's done. If the Bucs have 13 or 14 wins heading into the postseason, and if Gronk gets a call from Tom Brady, hey, you want a chance at 5? You want a chance at 5 Super Bowl rings as a tight end? I think that's a call that Gronk not only answers, but happily accepts. Although, after his history of injuries, I totally understand if he doesn't want to come back. He's put enough of his body on the line. He probably wants to start a family. He's in a solid relationship right now that he probably wants to carry on for some time. His brothers have an excellent business model going right now. I understand if the end is the end. Speaking of the end, that's the end of this episode. So before we go, quickly, we didn't get to cover it as much, but it is breaking news today. Arch Manning is now the quarterback of the Texas Longhorns. It's official. He's committed. The Mannings are back in football fashion, so it'll be very fun to watch. Also, tonight, the NBA draft. The Miami Heat are picking 27th overall. The draft starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it on both ABC and ESPN. It's prime time. Very easy to find. And we'll probably cover that next week. But for now, with that said, we're done with this episode of the Benjamin Cure Show. Make sure to like, subscribe, and engage in the comment section. Until next week, I'm Benjamin Cure. This is the Benjamin Cure Show. Take care, everyone.